Legit, I have no idea how I'm supposed to be starting these bad album covers episodes. They just... How do you write openings? This shit is hard. Bad album covers 4. Play the music. I don't know what to say.
Holy shit, we are long overdue for one of these, aren't we? Ha, way too long. But yeah, here we are again to celebrate the wonderful, the weird, and the... what the fuck of album covers.
Only this time out, I wanted to do something a little different. Only big name artists.
I mean, yeah, it's easy to make fun of stuff like this, but hey, most stuff like this was, you know, likely independently released on either micro labels or literally printed up by the artists themselves. Most stuff like this is super old, and there's a chance it probably fared better in its time than it does today.
Though to be fair, a lot of this stuff was ridiculous even by those standards. But no, in this edition, we are looking at the heavy hitters exclusively. Every artist we're looking at today has either gone gold or even platinum in record sales. Most of them have charted in some respect. The thing is, you've heard of these artists. These are major artists, many of whom have PR firms, agents, a whole marketing team helping them to make their decisions and steer their career path towards optimal directions. These motherfuckers have no excuse. And you know what? Let me go ahead and start things off by dropping a big one on ya. Bam.
Yep. I'm gonna be that motherfucker that talks shit about the Beatles.
But come right the fuck on! Now, a reminder, this particular show isn't meant to judge the music itself. We're exclusively focusing on the cover. And hell, if I have to deviate for a second from that theme, I would say Magical Mystery Tour as an album is actually great. I love it.
This album contains a handful of some of the best songs the Beatles would ever write, including Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever, and I Am the Walrus. But it's so super weird. It's not even technically an album. I'll put it this way. Sgt. Pepper's is what you get when the Beatles do acid. Magical Mystery Tour is what you get when they start taking too much acid.
Dance to a song that was a hit before.
What's this Lawrence bullshit?
Like, okay, what even is going on in the background here? Are those supposed to be clouds? I guess. There's a song called Flying on here. It's not completely against theming, but it just looks tacky as all hell. This is 60s schmaltz at its absolute weakest. Given how the blues from the original EP really seep into the space between the clouds here, it just makes the album look like it's crying or bleeding or dying the death of 1,000 cuts, and all of it to help accentuate this photo. This. Oh, it's all so tacky and garish. These costumes are the creatures that torment you in Silent Hill if you had a phobia of theme park mascots. And something this garish coming from the Beatles, who had some of the best album covers in rock history? This is so below their pay grade, man. This cover basically staved off the rise of furries by about 30 years, just on sheer ick factor alone. If they release this image in high enough definition, Fur Affinity will literally explode.
Oh, god damn it, now I have to look. Beatles furry.
Surprisingly low amount of entries, most of them very tasteful. Like, not even one Sonic the Hedgehog pregnant with Ringo or anything? Really?
Internet? I'm impressed. I really would have thought there would have been way more Beatles furry porn. I'm at a loss. Wait, does this mean there isn't any regular Beatles porn either? Oh lord, no. There's Rule 34. Oh, good God. Oh, y'all nasty.
Oh no, no, not you too, Maiden! Ah! Again, like the Beatles, Maiden has some of the most iconic cover art in the business. Their look and style were key to help shaping what the metal aesthetic would become, especially in the early years of the genre, but this... yeah! I feel like I stepped into somebody's weird, half-finished source filmmaker porn movie. Oh, good God, these weird, ugly, outdated 3D polygonal models. Oh, it's like I caught the original Xbox jerking off. Hey, stop that!
Oh God, we've barely started and this episode's already super porny. God help us.
So, yeah, this album came out in 2003.
As if you couldn't already guess.
And I get what they're going for here. The album's called Dance of Death, so they're doing a whole masquerade ball thing, only wild and creepy and sexy and metal, yeah! They're going for like an Eyes Wide Shut, only weirder and more off-putting.
Yeah, I'd say they pretty much nailed that.
I mean, it all just reeks of early 2000s Quake 3 arena mod jankiness. For one, everyone's bald. Everyone. Because of course they are. This was the early 2000s. We could barely get faces done right. Hell, we can barely get hair done right these days, let alone 2003. Oh God. So that means everybody, men, women, and midgets, are all just set to the basic ass default setting of a character creation screen.
If everyone at your orgy looks like Agent 47, please never invite me to your orgy.
Oh man, the upside down dude has a weird bone in his armpit. This lady is full-blown missing one of her arms and is apparently half giraffe? How the hell do you get a neck to bend like that? Good God, this poor lady is more neck than head. Oh man, this wolf here just really looks like he doesn't belong. Hell, he looks like he's practically a different resolution and type of model from the rest of the artwork. Hell, I'll bet this thing was likely pulled from a stock asset shop or a storefront.
Hey, is this cover an asset flip? I will totally sick Jim Sterling on you assholes.
And then, oh God, where do I even start? For one, this creature is just hovering in the air. He's hovering in the damn air. Look at him. He's not sitting or standing. He's not riding the wolf. He's just there. One of its feet is drastically bigger than the other. And I mean, like, people, let's just break it down. It's the dancing baby in a bikini.
You rich, buttery chunguses took the adorable dancing baby from Ally McBeal and put it in the middle of this scene? Iron Maiden, destroying memes long before you even knew memes were a thing!
And poor Eddie, oh, dude's just caught in the middle of this, trying his best to sell it, being all like, yeah, come on and get in on this action, am I right? For the love of God, please help. I mean, he's not a 3D model, which makes him stick out even more, but his drawing actually looks pretty decent. He's just drowning in the cartoon section of Pornhub over here. In fact, there are actually a few alternate versions of this cover floating around, including this one with all the goofy naked people taken out, and it actually looks really good. That is an Iron Maiden cover right there, but chances are you've never seen this version because gah!
And again, I hate to be that guy with this particular album, because Dance of Death is a pretty good late-era Maiden record. This is the one with Rainmaker on it. I kinda love this album. It sucks that I gotta be that guy here, but to be fair, this is another case of battle axe syndrome.
This is another instance where the band accidentally uses an unfinished prototype of the artwork instead of the actual artwork they were supposed to use. When the original artist realized that the band had done this, he legit asked to have his name taken off the album. Even Bruce Dickinson would later admit that the album's artwork was a huge mistake. And you know what? They're both right. This is terrible. This is easily the worst Iron Maiden album cover ever. Even Book of Souls had better cover art than this, and that was just a photo of Eddie getting his driver's license. Ugh. Next. Oh no, not Manowar 2. Oh, damn it. See, we've talked about Manowar before and how, their covers were, and it was great, but oh man, this is definitely a low point. This is off of their second album, and whew, boy, this is grim. They were still clearly getting a feel for what the hell Manowar was supposed to be. I mean, they're like halfway there. The costumes are mostly appropriate. Loincloths, studded leather, plenty of beef to spare. Except for this guy. I mean, look at him. Basic white vest, basic white slacks, Ugg boots, and a single purple glove.
I mean, this album was released in 1983, for God's sakes. You could just as easily see any random dude dressed like that walking down the street.
This is not very metal. And oh man, neither is his weapon. He really got shafted on this photo shoot. I mean, everybody else has swords and stuff, but this poor guy must have always shown up late to rehearsal or something. All he gets is this puny looking little mace on a chain. It doesn't even look vaguely real. It looks like somebody spray painted a cue ball and tied it to a stick. But really, it's not the costumes that make this album stick out. It's their faces. I mean, look at them. Whoever was taking this photo did not know how to direct these guys. Come on! You're dressed like warriors! Act like it! Sleepy, bored, confused Manowar is easily the worst Manowar. Later on, these guys would make the decision to have all their future album covers illustrated, and given how these guys act in front of a camera, I'd say that was for the best. Next! Oh, right! This one!
I pretty much guaranteed we were going to have to talk about this in my last Shinedown review. Well, let's go ahead and rip that band-aid off.
Man, Brent Smith just really wanted this album to be Shinedown's Follow the Leader, didn't he? Ha! Or at the very least, their Untouchables, which... Oh, good God, I forgot about this one. We might have to hold on to this one for another day. Ugh. But man, oh, there's a lot to unpack here. Why does this picture take place at Discount Hogwarts? The album doesn't have any kind of theme that would match this photo, so... Okay, Discount Hogwarts. I look forward to Blumblblore getting killed by Feverus Drake. The clock on the tower in the background says it's 3 o'clock, but look at that sky. Either these kids are all at school at 3 a.m. or recess is about to get interrupted by a goddamn tornado. Why is the main kid wearing Michael Jackson's jacket from Thriller? Y'all should be glad Mikey never sued. And oh man, I gotta point this out. The old Shinedown logo, do they still use this thing? Oh, I do love Shinedown, but their old logo used to be terrible. Let's not mince words about it. That's a spermie. Where are this kid's eyes? What the fuck is wrong with this kid's eye? And...
Well, have you caught it yet? It's okay if you haven't. It is fairly well hidden. Not everybody catches this. But once you do catch it, you will never be able to look at this album the same way ever again. Just look closely. You'll see it eventually.
Do you see it yet? I'll give you a few more seconds. Oh my god, what is going on with this kid? That's not a kid, that's a troll face. Some edgy, try-hard Twitter gremlin is probably using this as his avatar picture even as we speak. This album was somewhat overall, You could call it a sophomore slump if you wanted to, though to their credit they did recover from it very nicely, but man, with covers like this, it's no surprise people were iffy about this band at first. Ooh.
No! 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 Oh, Edema, how far hath thou fallen? Holy shit, dude. I don't know. Okay, I'll bet more than a few of you are probably like scratching your heads. Who the hell is Edema? Well, that's fair enough. These guys, their moment in the sun was really brief, but they were another one of those nu metal acts that time kinda completely forgot about. But trust me, these guys were big for at least a very, very brief time.
But while they were big, they did have a decent amount of buzz circling around them. Their songs Giving In and The Way You Like It were all over the rock charts. They made TRL. There was significant hype around these guys, if a fair amount of it was only because their lead singer happened to be Jonathan Davis's half-brother. But he left after their second album, and that had a big case of the sophomore slumps. That was a sophomore slump. They were never able to climb back up to those original loftier expectations from their debut, but good God!
Take it from somebody who knows from experience, one desktop publishing class does not a Photoshop master make.
Like, it's bad enough that no one has any shadows, it's bad enough that their relative sizes in reference to their positions are all over the map, but, like, the album's called Topple the Giants, and this is the best giant you can do? Hell, he's not that much taller than the doofuses trying to take him down with drumsticks. This isn't a bunch of guys trying to slay a giant, this is a bunch of kids hassling the Big Show. Outside a castle for some reason. And Big Show has really let himself go. Your guys casting in giants leaves a lot to be desired here. Apparently they just happen to make dad sandals in size 146. Hey, good on you, New Balance, for thinking of your extra husky customers. Also, just gotta love how the giant who supposedly wears a magic carpet-looking vest all day somehow still has farmer's tan. Again, just look at this giant's face. He's so not selling it. I mean, come on, this guy is fixing to cave his kneecaps in with his sick lucite guitar. This motherfucker is magically hanging onto his arm without using his fingers. Oh shit, it's the Dance of Death, baby, all grown up! And all this giant can do with all this going on around him is muster a barely visible, "Hey, what are all these new metal kids doing here? Man, go on, scat. I had to chase Drowning Pool and Union Underground out of my shitty, dilapidated castle last week. And now this, man."
Oh, man. With album artwork like this, it's no surprise that Edema's career ended up being so unstable. Only like 5 people are gonna get that joke. I don't care. Still worth it. Next.
Oh no, 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 no.
Oh no, I gotta do another one for an album I loved to pieces, but guys, how can you not look at this? I know it's a classic, but look at this!
Guys, I love Bark at the Moon. Hell, the title track to this album is one of my favorite Ozzy solo songs, period. Just listen to those guitars at the end.
You know, when it comes to Ozzy's solo work, everyone sings the praises of Randy Rhoads and Zakk Wylde, as they should. But a lot of people forget, Jake E. Lee was no slouch either.
I love the song, I love the album, but this cover just makes me laugh. Like, this isn't a good cover, but it really is one of those albums that's just so goofy and silly. It reaches charming from the opposite direction. It's not good, but how can you hate this? I mean, for one, They made the Ozzy logo hairy. The classic, iconic Ozzy Osbourne logo really needs a shave today. Like, I know they're going for the whole werewolf thing, but this doesn't make the text look like it's covered in fur. It makes it look like it was fished out of some guy's belly button. And just... We've seen plenty of covers where people not showing enough emotion makes an album look bad, but here, Ozzy's doing the exact opposite. He's too goddamn happy. Look at him. The fursuit, the realistic hands and claws, the teeth. I mean, as a costume, this actually does look really good, especially for its time. I mean, we've seen bad costumes on this show before, but as a basic costume, no, this isn't one of them. It's a good look. But Ozzy, oh, he's just mugging for the camera. Mugging so hard. He doesn't look like a threatening, scary werewolf coming to rip you to pieces as you scream in torment. He looks like a cutie little papa dog. Hello, mate, don't mind me. I'm just a cutie little papa. I've come to bring your slippers, play fetch with the ball, bark at the silly old mailman and... Oh. Damn! In here, the dog messed on carpet! And I'm the dog. Like, this is literally one of the best albums of the 2010s. Lorde is legit one of my favorite pop artists, period. She's great. But this was probably the cover that gave 30 Seconds to Mars the idea to do it. Fuck you, Jared Leto. Just because you don't give a fuck about the album cover doesn't mean you're not supposed to give a fuck about everything else. At least Lorde would make up for that big time on her next cover, but this... Well, thank God the music was so good is all I'm saying. Next. Whoo, boy. Oh, okay. I'll bet a lot of you probably already know the story behind this little gem, but don't spoil it for the rest of the class. Let's break it all down first. Okay. What do you think of when you think of the name Neil Young? You probably think folk rock, Harvest, Decade, Crazy Horse, crazily expensive rip-off MP3 players. Oh yeah, that was totally a thing. Look that up. But anyway, when you think of a Neil Young album cover, what are you most likely thinking of? Probably something rustic, folksy, something drenched in Americana. Even though Young is Canadian, whatever, it works for the guy. What you probably aren't thinking is last known footage. Like, this isn't a folk album. This is one of those random jump cuts that's on that tape from The Ring. This image has a resolution of like 8 bits. No, I can't even say that. This is like 4 bits. This is like something you'd see on a Game Boy. That's because it is. No joke. All of the artwork for this particular album was legit shot on the Game Boy camera. The Game Boy camera was a neat little piece of kitsch tech for its time, and Lord knows, in a weird way, it was a bit ahead of the curve in some respect. I mean, we all have handheld cameras now, they just only look ridiculous as a factor of our own design. But you know, for its time, the Game Boy camera was neat, and it actually did take decent pictures considering what it was. That's another reason why this particular photo just kind of baffles me. This is a bad photo, and a lot of people blame this on the Game Boy camera, but even the Game Boy camera was capable of taking better pictures than this. This is next level. What did Neil do to make this picture look so bad? It takes a special kind of negligence to take a photo that transforms you into a stick figure.
The story for this one goes that Neil just had his then 16-year-old daughter snap a few random photos of him out of curiosity, and he took those in for the label to use as artwork. Can you imagine being the record executive who had to take those notes from Neil Young on that particular day? Like, oh dear God, how do you think he took it? Do you think Neil just took in that little postage stamp sized strip of paper the Game Boy printer used to print out on? Do you think he took that little dinky thing, slapped it on the table, and said, "Make it happen, I'm Neil Young"? Jesus Christ, the 2000s were weird. Next! Oh, this one. Oh boy. Okay guys, full disclosure, I wrote this episode a couple of weeks back, but I didn't get to shooting here until very, very recently, and in the period between, the world lost legendary Pantera drummer Vinnie Paul. I mean, the dude was absolutely amazing. He was a stellar drummer and, like, an all-around nice guy from pretty much anyone you talk to. Like, his work with Pantera, Damage Plan, Hell Yeah, and, you know, so many other groups. He seemed like a pretty cool guy, and even though I wasn't always the biggest fan of his drumming style, no one can deny the man had talent, and he will leave a lasting legacy on rock and metal. Rest in peace, Vinnie Abbott. Thank you so much for all the memories, dude. Okay. That having been said, how many of you know about Pantera?
Yeah, the all-stars of painful groove metal. One of the most punishing and intense American metal acts ever. Pantera's influence can be felt across the genre even today. Yeah, I probably don't need to introduce most of you to Pantera. Most of you probably are at least familiar with this band. This band has scared the shit out of many a little sister in its day.
But the thing about Pantera is, they weren't always groove metal. At least they didn't start that way. In fact, their first 4 or so albums were something entirely different. Ooh. Pantera, one of the thickest, grisliest, rage-fueled metal bands that could possibly ever come out of the 90s, started out as a glam band. Oh my God.
Oh, just look at these guys! Look at these guys! They are so goddamn cute! And there are dozens of pictures of these guys during their glam years, and it is the most adorable fucking thing ever!
We'll talk more about Pantera's glam years somewhere in an episode down the line. Believe me, there's plenty to talk about there. But for now, I just wanted to give you all a little taste of what would be in store there. The debut album from one of the heaviest, gnarliest, most fist-pounding bands to have ever come into existence, Metal Magic. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Never let a 6-year-old design your album art. Oh.
There's really not a lot to this cover necessarily, but dear God, what we have is just, well, magical. The wiggly, squiggly, inconsistent type font, that wonky ass gradient, this creature. This thing was most likely the band trying to create some kind of mascot for themselves, as so many metal bands did back in the day.
Oh my Jesus, can you imagine a world where this thing was on every Pantera cover?
Say what you want about Dance of Death, at least Eddie looked good on that cover. Imagine this thing on the cover to Cowboys from Hell or Far Beyond Driven. Ha! And again, we have Bark at the Moon syndrome here, where the thing was probably meant to look like mean and menacing, but it's just so for me to take it even vaguely seriously. He has, like, six-pack abs going around his torso? How do you get abs on your sides? Dude, lay off the cloisterizer. His tail is way too low on his body. It honestly just looks like he has a demon trying to escape from his asshole. And check out his waist. It's just weird looking, isn't it? No, wait, he doesn't even have a waist. But look, this leg goes up to here, this one goes up to here, and they just disappear into his belt.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
And, oh, I have no idea what he's supposed to be holding here. A fish? A rocket? A spooky ghost on a dowel?
Ha ha! Cookies on dowel.
But if that thing is supposed to be a sword, then I'm supposed to be svelte and charming. If that twisted, gnarled, goofy-looking thing were a sword in Dark Souls, I would totally feed it to Frampt, is all I'm saying.
Like I said, I got plenty of stuff to say about Glamtera, but that'll have to wait for another day. Guys, this has been another edition of Bad Album Covers. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and remember, the only opinion that really matters stay tuned. The next video is going to be a Game & Crash on Dark Souls Remastered. Dude, could you just not right now? I'm kind of in the middle of... Oh, God!